parallel market rate of 500 or so. And I mean, the other good news to this is that parallel market rate has started collapsing since yesterday, dropping from 520 to about 508. So we're seeing some development on that front.
But then for you, do you think that it's going to be majorly the upstream or the downstream that are going to be strong off-takers in either of these segments of the market?
For me, it's really going to still be the downstream, because that's where there's still a lot of pressure on banks. Exposure to downstream marketers. For the upstream guys, it's really a different scenario. They're getting dollars. It's just a case of production, and because we have avocados down for a while, it's not fully back up yet, but so it's not really upstream per se. It's really about downstream and gas companies who are selling a dollar-denominated product but are receiving naira as revenue. So, and they are not able to access dollars to pay back their dollar loans. So those are the two guys that I think will likely benefit the most if there are more dollars available at the banks.
And then, of course, the major oil marketers and independent petroleum marketers who constantly complain about not being able to access dollars at the regular rates. No, go ahead. I'm listening to you. Well, you remember that also this might also begin to reduce the amounts of dollars that they will be expecting the NNPC, for instance, to help to shock that deficit that they were always complaining about. At one point, the NNPC said it was going to step in to get dollars for most of these companies for them to be able to import their petroleum products. So that also begins to reduce the pressure on the NNPC.
Well, let's not extend this too far yet. I think we need to just first of all watch how it develops. At the moment, there's a limit to how much the CBN can do, and I really recognize that the CBN has used the last few weeks and months to actually build up its foreign reserves. The likelihood that we also have another $1 billion coming in from the Eurobond, as well as other borrowings that we're doing, ensures that we actually have slightly more dollars to support the market with. But if we don't get other players in, I mean remittances, if avocados comes back online and dollars flow into the Nigerian independent segment, and thereby into the banks, there's only so much the CBN can support. So again, it's something we want to watch.
Okay, so for you, for how long do you think the Central Bank of Nigeria can actually give the support?
I mean, they've been doing it for years, but I think in terms of ensuring that everybody then gets a relief, I think it will take maybe some 2-3 months. There's a backlog that has to be cleared first of all, roughly about $4 billion. Then there's in terms of people that are waiting to get dollars, and then you have constant demand for FX, for imports, for diesel. I mean, for kerosene, for even LPG at some point, and other products. So I can't put an exact figure on it, but I think we need more players to supply the market.
And do you think that at this time we will not have players coming in that will come to game the market?
Not game the market, but preferably if they see that the market has actually started to stabilize and prices are starting to, really reflect the demand and supply dynamics in the market, and they start to see that, okay, there's a little more transparency on how the prices are being arrived at. So we see it move from, for instance, you look at all various forms of valuation for the naira. Maybe you're looking at the real valuation, or you're looking at PPP valuations, or we probably should still be somewhere in the region of about 325, 330 naira per dollar, or 350 if you're looking at the real model. So there's still some room to go in the interbank market, which people would typically like to wait to see if it's going to go there, if it's going to be controlled, if it's going to be constrained in getting towards that point before they come into the market. So I think to some extent they will be waiting to see that happen, and if that doesn't happen, then they might feel that it's still not being allowed to freely move, and then you might not see that supply coming to the market.
But then, Dolapo, we still see that the foreign exchange reserves has continued to increase since January 1. Right now, forex reserves is at $29.11 billion That's the best. In fact, compared to a year ago, we're really doing very good. And we have oil prices relatively stable around $56 per barrel.
56 this morning, 56.7.
So that means we're still getting more money coming in, at least to the coffers from oil earnings. But for how long do you think this will happen? Because even though we know that members and non-members of OPEC have actually stuck to the deal that was reached in November last year.
Yeah, to be sincere, Nigeria is in a good state. As we speak, we're looking at production around 1.95 thereabout, or 2 million. In fact, Kachuku said 2 million, and I think I verified we're currently doing about that same amount. So and then oil prices are still around 56.7, approaching 57. So we're in a very good state earnings-wise, and I think we start, typically the way oil market work, we start to see that hitting our accounts in the next 1 month to a month and a half. So generally right now, if we have no disruptions and we're able to get Focados back online, hopefully within the next week or two, then we have hopes of actually, earning a lot more revenue. So we're in a good state, and that's why I said for the CBN is actually in a good position to supply the market right now. If things change, however, that's when we could have some issues. But with all the funds that are coming in from oil, from the Eurobond, from the World Bank, and from various other initiatives, then we actually we're in a good place to actually see the forex market gradually move towards a proper float. And if it's a managed float, then at least gradually move towards a real valuation that the market will appreciate, and then more supply will come in from FPI and then FDI.
Dolapo, thank you so much for joining us on the program and, of course, sharing your perspectives with us.
Thanks for having me.
Dolapo Oni is the head of energy research at Ecobank, joins us there to give us his thoughts on the new CBN FX policies and how it affects the oil and gas sector, particularly, of course, the downstream sector. But Business Morning continues in just a moment. Stay with us.